Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie.ag is the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast. Use the promo code SGP50 to receive a 50% deposit bonus today. We're also brought to you by Odds Shark. They have the latest betting stats and trends you won't find anywhere else, plus free picks from their supercomputer and expert writing staff. Follow them on Twitter at OddsShark and www.oddsshark.com. Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. Ryan, what's happening, man?
One day closer to football, Sean.
One day closer to football, and also one day closer to Rough and Rowdy 4. That's what we're going to be talking about today on the podcast. Of course, this Rough and Rowdy interview brought to you by MyBookie.ag, the safest online sportsbook. Use that promo code SGP50 for a 50% deposit bonus. You can deposit with Bitcoin, withdraw in Bitcoin. Simple, easy, safe, convenient. Play, win, and get paid. MyBookie.ag, promo code SGP50. Let's do it, Ryan. All right, joining us now on the line, here to talk Rough and Rowdy 4, August 5th at 7 p.m. East. Youngstown, Ohio. You can get the pay-per-view, roughandrowdybrawl.com. Joining us is Big Cat from Barstool Sports. And of course, Bill Burr, guest commentator for the pay-per-view fight. Guys, how psyched are you for this event?
I mean, I'm you know what you did? You asked both of us a question at the same time, so we didn't know who was going to go first. Big Cat, you go.
Okay, I'm beyond excited. We have a insane. It's the biggest one we've ever done. I think the crowd is going to be like 5,000 people. It's going. Youngstown, Ohio, is like the capital of grit. If you've ever been to Youngstown, it is. The saying in Youngstown is they produce two things: factory workers and football coaches. And it's going to be a hell of a night. And we have an awesome, main card with 6 huge fights, and I think it's just we keep getting better every single one, and Bill's gonna be back, and it's gonna be a hell of a night.
One fight that jumped out at me just from looking at the promos, you have a guy who works for you called Gay Pat, and he is going up against a convicted felon who's made it clear he doesn't like homosexuals. The fight is being dubbed Pride versus Prejudice.
And for people who haven't seen the promo that the gay kid put out, it's the fun. I've watched it like 5 times, and every time it makes me laugh. He's like, "All right, you called me this, you called me a sissy. Well, guess what? Come August 5th, it's not going to be 3 rounds. It's going to be 1 round, and I'm knocking you out in 30 seconds, and I'm planting a big fat fucking kiss on your inbred lips." And he's wearing a pink shirt when he says it. It's the greatest thing. I hope he goes in with pink trunks and knocks that guy out. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. Although with this Me Too shit, I don't know if he can kiss him.
that might be crossing the line.
Potential blowback if he does.
Would be weird.
Yeah, Gay Pat's all of a sudden getting Me Too'd from a local Youngstown guy. There's a bunch of other interesting fights you guys got on here. Another one that seems, I think, is one of your bigger fights. You have Ryan Young, a cop, facing off against Allen Brothers, a skater that he seemed to go at it with. But Big Cat, it seemed like I saw a story that the cop had been relieved from his cop duties because of Rough and Rowdy.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that he, I guess, was fired. He's a part-time police officer in Youngstown. The mayor of Youngstown got involved, but credit to him. He said he's still fighting. He said he's still going to win. And we're dubbing this. So like I was saying to you guys before we started taping, we've actually put names on all the main card. So this one's going to be law and border for the skateboarder. So that one's going to be an awesome fight.
Shit writes itself. It really does.
Well, and then I saw El Presidente. He did a cool thing because the guy lost his job. He gave him, or basically gave him a 2 years salary, what he would have made as a cop. And then the cop said, "Hey, I don't want your charity. If I win, I'll take the 2 year salary. If I lose, I'm going to split it with the skateboarder." So cool move by El Presidente.
You tell me who's not ordering this fight with that backstory? Those two alone.
Right.
I'm in.
And I mean, whether you grew up a skateboarder or, maybe like a little bit of a punk, or you grew up with a police officer in your family, everyone has a side here. Everyone's been on the law and border side. You pick a side and you buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I've had some run-ins with cops, got framed for a DUI, a couple things like that. Now, so my instinct would be to kind of go against the cop, but then you see these fight promos he cut, and the cops.
How do you get framed for a DUI?
It's a long story.
Take the breathalyzer and blow a 0.0. I think I'm siding on the cut with the cop on this one.
Yeah, I think the same thing happened to Tony La Russa, right?
My foot fell asleep. I couldn't walk in a straight line. I was bamboozled.
He tricked me into it. No, but the cop is like a super likable guy, and then he ends up losing his job. So he's a great story to root for as well.
Why did he lose his job?
I guess.
One of our guys, Roan, who does the interviews after each fight, who's super, super talented. He went and did a ride along with him, signed all the waivers. Like, it actually, if you watch the video, the police officer was a very good police officer, talking to people in the community, and Roan rode along with him. And I guess that was a bridge too far. So they have a really good police officer, and they told him kick rocks because you did a video with Roan.
Another reason to root against the cop.
Oh, I thought they were just mad that he was fighting the skater. That even seems like way less.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you learn something every day, but you know what? There's a silver lining to it, because now his motivation is now he can win 2 years salary and become a celebrity cop and maybe get a job in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
walking down the street as a famous police officer.
It's probably
he'll have a reality show. Yeah, he'll have a reality show by Tuesday morning if he wins this fight.
It's probably dream come true for the cop. He gets to beat up a skateboarder and get 2 years salary all in one night. Dream scenario for him. The guys over at mybookie.ag, they actually have some lines set for these fights, including this matchup between Ryan Young, the local cop, and the skateboarder Allen Brothers. Right now, the local cop, a -200 favorite. Skateboarder right now, a +160 dog. Big Cat, I know you're a fellow D-Gen gambler here. Which way would you go here?
I mean, with those prices, I'd like to go with the cop. Maybe try to parlay it with something else on the card, because I do think that the cop is going to win. I think it's going to be a quick fight.
Yeah, he's trained, right? Like, he's a professionally trained at disarming people. I'm sure this dude can't bring his skateboard into the ring, so I feel like -200 is a really nice price.
But the cop can't bring his utility belt. So he's kind of like Batman without that. So I mean, it kind of levels off there. It's an interesting matchup. Yeah. I would parlay it. I haven't seen how big the skateboarder is, but was it Gay Pat? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yes. Gay Pat.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. How does he size up against the homophobic convicted felon?
So right now there isn't a line out yet for the Gay Pat fight, but Big Cat, Big Cat, sorry,
Freudian slip, Sean.
You know Gay Pat the best. What would you set the line at between Gay Pat and the convicted felon?
So I think it's going to be a pretty even fight. Bray, the convicted felon, is definitely got more muscle on him, and he probably has been. Gay Pat has told me that he's never been in a fight before. But with that said, Pat is like very athletic. He's about 6'6", so if he can keep the fight at a distance, he's got a pretty big advantage. I'd probably put it at like a pick'em right now.
Ooh,
wow. Bill,
I got to disagree with that. I got to disagree. If you got a guy coming out of prison fighting a guy who's never had a fight before, and he has built-in hatred just for who the guy is. Unfortunately, oh man,
Yeah, I mean, when you say it that way, when you say my words back to me, yeah, it does sound stupid.
Pick is a little. If I was
I'm not seeing the Hollywood ending here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the bookies got to keep factor that in. The public would be all over the ex-con. I would imagine.
This is feeling like more Empire Strikes Back rather than Return of the Jedi to me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the bad guy might win there. Are you worried about any potential blowback of, a pay-per-view event where a convicted felon is just, wailing on a guy named Gay Pat?
No, because I think Pat's going to win, and I'll just keep saying that until he loses, and then I'll be like, "Wow, I never saw that one coming."
Bill, in the last Rough and Rowdy, you said, this event, doing something like this, is why you got into show business. What's so enjoyable about calling the fights?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to actually get into sports commentating, but it was way too hard. I had an accent. I wasn't smart. So I became a comedian. And somehow, through telling shit jokes for over a quarter of a century, I came full circle and got to sit ringside. I mean, it's not actually obviously at a pro level, but I don't deserve to be at that level. But I don't know. There was just something like, I can't believe I'm in this sports arena. It was like in Charlotte. It was where Ric Flair, basically built that house. It was just so many worlds. And then I love sports. I love Barstool Sports and all that stuff, the way they cover it. They talk like fans. It was just like, I got in this business to have fun. And I got to be honest, even guys who lost the night when I was there, they even seemed like they had fun. Because, I mean, think about that. You get to go into a ring. You're coming down with a crowd of people cheering. To actually feel what that feels like, win or lose, it's a pretty amazing thing. So yeah, it was a ton of fun.
There's a certain gladiator element to it that probably makes it really cool. And I would imagine the arenas that you guys are in are a little bit more intimate. Which, yeah, I mean, I agree. The polished, the professional level, you need a polished kind of formal talk radio TV guy. I almost think you're more fit for this. I got to ask though, what brought you guys to Youngstown?
Ooh, Youngstown. That's a good question. So we've actually been through Youngstown a couple times in the last few years. We did a tailgate show there. PFT and we went for our Grit Week, the first Grit Week. We interviewed Jim Tressel and Bo Pelini. And if you've ever been to Youngstown, it's one of those places that kind of is forgotten, but you fall in love right away because it's just, the people are great. And it is the grit capital of the world. And it's where, you're going to get a bunch of fights. It's close to Pittsburgh. So you'll get some Ohio versus, Pennsylvania fights. You'll get some, factory workers. You'll get basically everything that Rough and Rowdy really is in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah. The personal aspect of these fights and just that, I mean, that's what's so enjoyable. I mean, that's what's great about sports is the rivalries and stuff. When these guys legitimately hate each other, when they become friends, like in the NBA, where they're all glad handing, they're exchanging jerseys after the game. That kind of takes me out of it. I like in Rough and Rowdy that going into it, these guys legitimately hate each other. That's what brought them to the ring, and it just adds another element to it.
My favorite fight of the last pay-per-view was when the frat boy was fighting the local blue collar guy. It reminded me of that movie Breaking Away with Dennis Quaid, where the one guy was the cutter and the other guy was like the college frat boy. And, the frat boy was talking, my boys are going to be down there, but blah, 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 blah. And then the blue collar guy goes, listen, your frat boys aren't going to be in the ring to save you. So I was thinking oh shit, this blue collar guy is going to kill him. And then the frat boy went in there and beat the shit out of the blue collar guy. But unfortunately in the ending, I think he missed a punch and he separated his shoulder and he got hurt. So the ref had to stop it. So then the blue collar guy won on a stoppage because of injury. And I had a level a little Greek tragedy there, Yeah. There's a lot of ups and downs in that one. I really enjoyed that fight.
Yeah. That's something you won't see in UFC or, professional boxing, a guy throwing out his own shoulder from punching and then losing the match. This matchup I really enjoy. Brother versus brother. Jimmy Ginn is facing off against his brother John. So we got Jimmy versus John. Two brothers going at it. I love his quote on the website. He says, "I'm gonna beat my brother's ass. He's pampered. He thinks because he went to the military, he's tough shit. The military's watered down now. It's a bunch of pussies."
Strong stance.
This is it though. This is Rough and Rowdy. We had in Rough and Rowdy 2, we had Big Bubba versus Little Bubba, brothers fighting. So there's precedent here, and it's something special when two brothers get in there. We're calling this one the Brothers Gwyn, a sibling showdown. So it's going to be a fun one.
It's basically a genre that I don't think anybody knew existed other than around the holidays.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and hopefully I think Big Bubba, Little Bubba, like it's just a weird dynamic when you get two brothers and obviously they love each other, but they want to beat the hell out of each other. And then at the end, it's like, okay, now we got to go home. We live at the same house. Let's do it.
Please get some. I hope the mom is in attendance and get a camera locked on her for her reactions during the pay-per-view, just to see what her two sons have become, beating each other up in the ring for a bunch of degenerates and guys watching at home pay-per-view. This is another matchup I see. My bookie has the odds on it. I couldn't find too much info, but Big Cat, maybe you can give us the scoop here. We have the Swedish Meatball -120 facing off against the Italian Stallion at -120 as well. Break down these two guys.
What's the names on those two guys?
Well,
they just have their nicknames up on my book.
well, and I was gonna say, like, isn't a Swedish meatball? When I hear Swedish meatball, I think of those little meatballs they try to serve you at IKEA. I don't feel like that's that's not a flattering nickname. The Italian Stallion, on the other hand, I mean, the odds are even, which makes me, I am Italian, of course, Sean, and I feel like just coming off the big win by the Italian at the British Open, it's a good time to get on the Italian Stallion for even money.
So I just pulled it up. Levi Ift is the Swedish meatball, super white guy in his fight promo video. He's showing off his gut. I don't know if that's intimidating the Italian guy, but he's I
love it. So
sorry, you can go.
Yeah, I would say I haven't done my full fight card research yet. I've been working on the main card. So if I could throw out another main card one that I think you guys are going to like.
Sure.
There's Brandon NyQuil Johnson versus Nick the Dale Show Mayer. So these guys, one weighs 400, I think one weighs 350. And in true Vince McMahon wrestling fashion, we're actually going to call this one the 1,000-pound brawl and just pretend that they're both 500 pounds. And it's going to be the two big boys, meaty boys going at it.
NyQuil is one of the greatest nicknames I've ever heard for a fighter. Man. That's amazing.
He's got to update that to coding though for the kids.
Scissor.
Yeah.
That is
I like NyQuil, man. That's old school.
It's solid.
Night Train.
That is funny though, because you think giant fat guys aren't good boxers, but every once in a while they really can pull it off. Like Butterbean back in the day he was a legit professional. So it'll be interesting to see how these 400-pound guys handle the ring.
Yeah, and Rough and Rowdy is the one place where they can kind of compete because if you want to go down a Rough and Rowdy rabbit hole, there's a guy named Vito the Torpedo from West Virginia who fights in a ton of Rough and Rowdy fights. He's like 450 pounds and he just stands there and guys throw punches at him and he just doesn't move and he just lays it down on guys and he comes out of the ring and he's like a local hero in West Virginia. He's signing autographs, he's taking pictures, and that's the essence of Rough and Rowdy, that like Vito the Torpedo can become a mini celebrity in West Virginia by fighting in Rough and Rowdy.
Yeah, these guys really are living out their fantasy. You know, they have those like, hey, become a NASCAR driver for a week, but these guys are actually living it. You're actually getting to be a pay-per-view boxer.
It does have a little of that Howard Stern whack pack appeal to it, where it's like these complete, side cases are turning into local celebrities.
This is the greatest. I just tweeted. It's the greatest pay-per-view of the summer.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for calling in. Make sure you check the pay-per-view out August 5th, 7 p.m. East. You can get it at roughandrowdybrawl.com. That's roughandrowdybrawl.com. $15.99 pre-sale, $19.99 the day of. And Bill will be we'll be talking to you soon. Bill's going to be calling in, doing some week 1 NFL picks. So looking forward to having you on the podcast, and appreciate you calling in, Big Cat, as well. Thanks, guys. Big thanks to our sponsors, mybookie.ag, promo code SGP50, and of course, Odds Shark. That's right. Check them out, oddsshark.com. All the betting stats, info, and trends you want. And give them a follow on Twitter at OddsShark. And check out our boy, Johnny Oddshark. Ryan, I think that about does it. And to all the new listeners checking out the podcast, thanks for tuning in. If you're listening to this podcast, you're also probably into betting on college football and the National Football League. So you'll want to subscribe to our podcast, because we got a shitload of NFL content coming out, division previews, fantasy previews, college previews, we're breaking it all down, Ryan.
Yeah, we are. It's football season. It's August. Almost,
it is
almost August.
We're putting the pads on. 2-a-days have started, and we got a ton of great football gambling content to break down.
And unlike the NFL, our CBA allows us to continue to do 2-a-day, Sean. So
yes, classic 2-a-day to get the football season started. 2 podcasts out today. You can check out our other podcast we dropped today, which is a Football is Back podcast, hit on MVP, Defensive Rookie of the Year, all those kind of rush leaders, passing leaders, first coach to be fired, all our best bets for those. Check that out over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Give us a follow on Twitter at Gambling Podcast. For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I am Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
I'm pulling for you, Gay Pat.
Kramer. Let it ride.